What can stop you if you fight together? 2 for 1. 3 opponents down. Double down. Yes! 3 down.
Ladies and gents, my name is Xander, aka Deislayers, and in this video, we're going to discuss and review the brand new Season of Opulence Pinnacle Crucible reward, and it's called the Revoker Sniper Rifle. The number one question that I know many of you Deislayers out there are asking, is this thing worth the grind? To you, my friends, I say, not only are we going to discuss that, but we're going to look at the weapon's PvP stats, its base stats, all that kind of jazz, and really what makes this thing a quote-unquote pinnacle weapon to see if it's going to be worth your time. Before we get into it, you guys have got to know how to get your hands on this thing. And if you want to complete the quest line, then what you have to do is you have to get 300 Crucible kills with sniper rifles, and it can be any sniper rifle, whether or not it's actually in competitive or Crucible, it doesn't matter. But do know that you have to get at least 50 headshots of those 300 kills to be just that, headshots. And last but not least, you have to also attain 3,500 glory points in the competitive playlist. Now that doesn't mean that you actually have to obtain all those points consecutively, nor does it mean that you actually have to get to 3,500 total glory points. All that means is that you can gain some points here and there, lose a couple of matches, still make some more progress as soon as you get a couple wins, and eventually those glory points are going to add up to 3,500 points. In understanding that, I will say that when you use sniper rifles, it is going to take a little bit of time for you to actually get the hang of them and really understand how they function. But the good news for you is that I've actually made a guide on how to use sniper rifles, and I'll link that up in the top right hand corner of your screen right now. But the only thing left to do is to then eviscerate that notification button, and let's jump right into the video. It's at this point in time that I normally go over the weapon's PvP stats. But what I think is actually more important here is understanding what makes this beauty a true pinnacle weapon. And that one perk happens to be called the Reversal of Fortune. As you guys can see from right there, Reversal of Fortune states that missing a shot returns the bullet to the magazine after a short duration. Exactly what is this short duration, you ask? It's precisely 2 seconds, which is enough time for you to take some ludicrous shot, and then if you happen to miss, dip into cover, pop out of cover, and then have another go. However, if you reload and take one shot before the perk activates, that bullet will not, I repeat, will not come back directly into the magazine and be lost to infinity and beyond. Oh, I'm sorry guys, I just couldn't help myself right there. But also know that if you happen to fire 2 shots in rapid succession, only one bullet will return directly into the magazine, not both. As far as this one perk goes, you will not find this perk on any other weapon in the entire game. And I also will mention that this is very, very beneficial for having those crazy good shots that you might want to take every now and then, as you're not going to get penalized in the slightest, as you know for a fact that that bullet's most likely going to be returned back to you as long as you have that duration of 2 seconds. This can make for some crispy, juicy, and oh so spicy sniper shots that might just happen to go into a montage, but what helps this thing even more so is the sight itself. And this sight actually is the ambush sight back in the days from Destiny 1, and it has the lowest zoom out of all the snipers in the entire game. Now I could be mistaken on this, but I believe that a Twilight Oath also has the lowest sniper zoom in the game. I think that it's tied for this thing, but nonetheless, this ambush sight is fantastic because what it allows for is some very, very aggressive sniping, and as you all know, that's 110% the playstyle that I embody. If you just so also happen to be an aggressive sniper like myself, then this Revoker is going to make some enemy guardians a little bit salty. But nonetheless, there is no doubt in my mind that you guys are going to be popping off heads, just like in the Kingsman, and man, was that such a glorious sight. And understanding that, I want to take this same aggressive mentality one step further and show you guys as to exactly how this thing is going to perform via a private match. And the reason why I want to do this is because this thing almost has maxed out range at 100 out of 100. And that's due to the weapon's perks, which you're going to see in just a couple of seconds. But before I do so, I want to go into that private match so then you guys can see the weapon's bullet magnetism. Essentially what I'm doing in all these tests is I'm seeing as to how much this thing can actually quote-unquote miss at longer and close range distances. Whether I'm shooting towards the right hand side of the head or just above the head, what I pretty much came into the conclusion of is that the further that you get away, the more bullet magnetism that this sniper is going to have. And the closer that you are, it's not that lenient. And so if you're going for those crazy good quickscopes, you've really got to be able to land that shot directly on the enemy's noggin. But if you happen to be at longer distances, then that's when the Revoker is actually more forgiving, and that is very, very good for all of us. Knowing this little teeny tiny bit of useful information, the very next question that you're probably asking yourselves is, alright, well, what happens if I don't happen to land a critical headshot and rather I land 2 body shots? That, my friends, is an excellent question. And although I actually wouldn't recommend doing this because I believe that it simply takes too much time to actually shoot one shot and then shoot a second one with a sniper, and rather what I would recommend is for you to switch to your secondary, maybe something like a Recluse or a Last Dance or something else along those lines, but nonetheless, you guys can see that information right there on screen if you happen to land 2 body shots. It's going to be at exactly 0.83 seconds if you happen to do so. And obviously, if you happen to land that critical headshot, it's bada bing bada boom, adios, bye bye. Now the only other thing that I really want to point out here is that this thing is doing 433 points of damage to a head. And that then means that even if this thing happens to shoot critical headshots on supers, it's still not going to down those supers, and that is one huge downside to this overall sniper rifle. But might I add that if you happen to get something like, say, snapshot and box breathing on the new beloved sniper rifle, then that's when that thing can one-shot supers, and that's something that you're going to have to think about. Speaking of the beloved sniper rifle, you also might want to keep in mind that that thing cannot just roll with just snapshot and box breathing, but can also roll with snapshot and quick draw. So that's something else that you might want to take into account if you want to use this thing over that thing, or even if you want to grind for it in general. But one more thing that you still have to know about this Revoker sniper rifle is what gives it that crazy good range, and that is all based upon the weapon's perks. As you guys can see from right there, this thing's still got extended barrel, accurized rounds, and snapshot sights. And so of course, snapshot sights is going to give that instantaneous ADS speed, but extended barrel is going to give plus 10 in range, decrease the handling by 10, but then at the same time, you've also got accurized rounds, and that's going to also increase the range by 10. In taking into account all these perks and the base stats that they're going to affect the weapon with, we then get the weapon's base stats right there on screen. And as you guys can tell, this thing's got, according to light.gg, 100 out of 100 for its base range factor. But not just this, it's got a very good recoil direction at 82, and the only downside here is that its aim assistance is only at 44, whereas its handling speed is also pretty low at 30. The main reason why I really don't like that handling speed is because what you have to understand about handling is that not only is it going to affect that ADS speed, but it also affects the weapon's overall flinch factor. And so because this is so low, the weapon's then going to have more flinch whenever you're aiming down sights. And that's then why the way in which this thing shines is if you only ADS for maybe a split second, maybe 2 seconds, but that's just enough time to still get that quick scope and then dezoom and go into the next engagement. As far as the weapon's other base stats go, the other one that is phenomenal here is the weapon's exceptionally low zoom factor at 35. And that's then once again reinforcing the fact that this thing is designed for very, very aggressive play and for getting those quick scopes just like I mentioned earlier. And seeing all the weapon's base stats, as well as the weapon's perks and what makes it a quote-unquote pinnacle weapon, I think it's a fair assessment to say that this Revoker sniper rifle is certainly unique. But the question still remains, is it worth your time to grind for? In correlation with that question, we actually have a second question, and that is there another sniper rifle that could do better than this in PvP? In being as crystal clear and transparent and honest as I possibly can, I would say that this thing is a very good sniper rifle, and it definitely caters to the aggressive playstyle, especially if you happen to like the ambush scope. However, I will also say that there are a ton of other sniper rifles out there that are just as good as this one and don't have to be grinded for in Crucible in order to get. And more importantly than this, you have something like, say, the beloved, like I mentioned from earlier, that can get some incredible and out of this world rolls that are still going to be able to compete with this Revoker on a very regular basis. In the end, is it a good sniper rifle? Yes. Is it terrible? By no means will I classify it as that. And is it exceptional? Maybe, maybe not. I'm going to leave that up to you. But what I will say is that this thing can still make some incredibly good plays, but just know that there are other sniper rifles in the game that can do just the exact same thing. And so let me know what you guys think about all this stuff down in the comment section below. Whether or not you agree with my assessment, you don't, you think that this thing is the best thing on earth, or you think that it's just a complete muff cabbage trash shenanigan sniper rifle, and whether or not you'll be grinding for it. As you all know, that I'm certainly going to be respecting your opinions, and I can't wait to hear as to exactly what you guys gotta say. Lastly, be sure to watch the newest, check the latest, and share, comment, like on social media, because you are the greatest. That's pretty much all I've got for you as of right now, Deislayers. And as always, GG TNT.